the biggest lie that we all believed all the time is, hey, let's get more leads and more leads and more leads, and obviously pipeline will follow.
Having a large amount of website traffic and leads coming and signing doesn't mean you have quality pipes.
I think that's a big shift from 2024 to 2025 is not the number of leads, but just the sheer number of meetings that you have actually defines the pipeline.
With AI, I think using AI, your customers can do self. So they come and you put a chat. You can get to the stage, they could use the product quickly. That's the way I look at it, right?
I don't think AI replaces the jobs. It clearly kind of exposes weaker workflows. Okay? Distribution plays the trump card, right? It beats the product again and again and again.
Why distribution is even more important today is that, hey, now you could identify people with the right signals, with the right intent signals, and you can run the campaigns effectively. So as a result, you get more traction.
Hi Shri, how are you?
Morning, Ramesh. I'm doing good. How are you?
Doing great, thank you. So the last part of the season.
Okay.
Actually, just amazing. Guys, it's like a personal win for us.
Yeah.
We did about more than 20 pods.
Oh, you say that's right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So,
and we stuck to something that we were uncomfortable with. But yeah, there's a lot of things uncomfortable, right? As we've gone through the journey. So let's just talk about it today.
Yes. I think, and before we get into the topic, and because it's interesting being able to consistently for some time, how do you feel now? Do you think, you want to take it to the next level next year?
Of course. The pod, for sure. You've seen a lot of improvements in our home studio setup. It should get better with every pod. Obviously, it needs more subscribers, more comments. So let us know what you want us changed.
Okay.
What do you want us to improve on? And we'll get that done.
Okay. So how do you want to go about today's pod? What do you want to talk about?
Obviously, it's year end. This is the last part of the season. I think we should just talk about what we generally talk about and maybe even summarize all our thoughts. Some of the lessons that we've learned, some lessons that we've learned in 2025. Maybe, Shri, you always predicted a lot of things. So you could be the astrologer trying to predict something 26. How about that?
Well, I think I like the idea about, we talk about some of the lessons. Just to summarize, and we've been talking about in our part across the board. I think we good to basically summarize some of the key learnings.
Sure.
There's a few that as we just get through that, right? I think, we learn them. I think we learn them by watching them, watching things break. We did a lot of planning.
Yeah.
Month on month, quarter on quarter. How did our teams, I think, get along? I think certain things are working, certain things are not.
Yeah.
We've been discussing that across the board. I think it's a good idea to.
Sure. Where did I start with the first one, right? It's I come from this whole demand gen piece of it, and that's like the core of our what we do. And it's always the myth that we got burst over the second half of the year or towards the last quarter of the year is the biggest lie that we all believed all the time is, hey, let's get more leads and more leads and more leads, and obviously pipeline will follow, right? So we went all out. We ran a lot of campaigns just to optimize for number of leads, but that just didn't happen.
Okay. So I think if you could just take a step back, we'll also discuss a little bit in terms of what you mean by that. I think when we started 2025, we thought we had the product. We had initial design partners. Just to give a context, I think we launched the product last year, late part of the 2024, which was Q3, Q4. Actually, Q4 was the one we dealt with our design partners. So Q1 was basically go all out, demand gen, coming in with whatever we have seen in the past. We saw that, the teams double. We saw our spend on demand gen also increase. But interestingly, the win rate was very flat for the first 2 quarters. But even though we had, ambitious goals, we thought we put things on and the leads were increasing. Our rate of leads increased. In fact, at one point of time, Ramesh drove our traffic went from, 10, 20K to 60, 70, 80K. We also started celebrating that. Pipeline looked very busy, but was not healthy.
Yeah, he means the teams look very busy.
Pipeline was also interesting because the gates on the MCR we were using, right? So that's where we were.
So what's the key takeaway?
I think the key takeaway, I think notionally lead volume is what we were trying to optimize, correct, from the past. But apparently the lead volume has nothing to do with the quality of the pipeline, which means say having a large amount of website traffic and leads coming and signing doesn't mean you have quality pipe.
So myth number one, right? The bust by Sri is more number of leads doesn't mean your pipeline quality is good there. All right. What else?
The more interesting fact is that we started realizing it that the only matter which is really yielding as a result was the number of qualified meetings. So which means that the number of quality of meetings increases, which means that you are getting it to like momentum.
So we took up a couple of stories. What doing is he's moved it one level down the funnel, and that's where the funnel starts. It's no more the top of the funnel is no more the number of leads. Correct. It comes down to one level below where it starts. I think that's a big shift from 2024 to 2025. Is not the number of leads, but just the sheer number of meetings that you have actually defines the pipeline. Correct.
That with an outbound seller.
Yep.
That even was very, very important, right? Number of the GTM, the way we were running it, at least what we historically we've been learned over years. I think we were measuring with the wrong metrics.
I have a controversial question to ask, and I'm fully on the spot over there. Sweet. You're optimizing for SDRs over here, and you say that the meetings is equal to momentum equals the quality of pipeline. Does that mean the marketing's job is shrunk because they were the one bringing in the leads?
I think the way I would pursue it, Ramesh, is that the marketing job is not shrunk or whatever you want to call it, but I think the expectation is to get better quality leads. The whole concept of marketing qualified lead, I don't think they exist in this world automatically. There is only good quality meetings, and if the marketing team wants to bring it, so be it.
So I think what in the whole funnel, the leads bit of it belongs to the marketing. Yeah, you do whatever, you run trigger campaigns, you run events, that's your job. But when it comes to SDRs, it's not about leads or anything. It's about the quality of the meetings and the momentum you're gaining over there, right? So your sales funnel starts with how many meetings have you got rather than how many leads I've been able to contact. Is that right?
That's right. Yeah, in fact, the number of leads is like your way of working. You could look at it. It's internal to the marketing people. They could basically look at it. But what really matters is that for a sales team, quality meetings.
Okay.
It happens for both inbound and outbound as well. There's a lot of discussion about, the whole inbound having 80% junk. It really doesn't matter. What really matters is that from the inbound or outbound doesn't matter, or it's inbound led outbound, like what you people are calling it 2025. Quality lead takes is equal to momentum.
Okay.
Right.
We'll get that. And what's
next?
Okay. Hi, I was too brown to read it. I think it's about the sales specialization that we spoke about, right?
Okay.
It's low teams because a lot of times we spoke about, hey, where does it get stuck in the middle? Because there's a lot of hand holding that happens between the marketing and the sales to pre-sales back to sales, and then AE.
Okay.
And that just doesn't move forward. There's no momentum. As everyone says, is that. So isn't that the next big lesson that we're
So I think what you're saying is like, we spoke about this as well, Ramesh.
Now, yes, we did.
The frozen middle, right? You get the meetings. I mean, this is, as we crack, I think we should see that we also trying to put our lessons in a way where we learned it in this whole year, right? We started tracking the meetings. The moment meeting happens, you have a bunch of people involved in this whole process of getting to the next step. And what we saw was basically the frozen middle product. We have this frozen middle where the SDR set the meetings, the AEs again restart from day one for a conversation, and the customers go all over the place, right? That has been the whole frozen. As the result, we just dropped the ball, right? We just, people don't take it. There's no continuity per se. And I think, that is where, that was a big learning for us. It's correct. I think, Ramesh, if you remember, you just took a step back and you have to make a very critical call. And can you talk about that? What did you do? How did you fix this?
I think this is where AI played a very, very important role, right?
Okay.
It streamlined sales and got them into specializing into meetings as a metric. So what sales did is we introduced a whole bunch of AI tools over here that could move this entire frozen middle and start melting in some sense because it had to go down. AI tools such as obviously high performance, the largest one that we kind of think about is how do you help sales gather momentum in a team? Yeah. How do we get to know who the buying committee is? How do you get to know who the decision makers are? How do you get to know what's the core problem in the company? Who are they speaking to? Is there a competition also who's kind of getting into the deal? That was really thought.
So if you were to give some information, Ramesh, like of course you mentioned about using AI tools, for a minute, leave the name of the tools, right?
Yep.
But more importantly, right, what task did they do? What task did they basically take out of the bucket of a human being?
I think first is, of course, the largest one, right? Spot the signal. Can we get to know if this is the right ICP? And can we get to know if they have a problem that you could engage in a conversation with? So that's just, it has to be based on the signal. So that worked done very well. Second is, okay, now I know the context. So what's the conversation should I have? So you ran the conversation across multiple channels on email, on phone, as a channel as well, but you also got the context correct. Okay. In terms of, hey, you've been talking about it so much. Is there something you kind of smelt the worry in them, and you hit that, you hit the nail on the head. Okay. Obviously, when you have all of that, you're able to guide through the decision making process. You stuck to a single point rather than just giving them the entire tool. Right. So these are some of the things that our customers have also talked about. That's what we've taken them from them. And there's a most important thing, running this with multiple people in the organization. You don't need an SDR to talk about it, an AE coming in, again, talking about the same thing. So that frozen middle starts melting a little more or go down.
So just to summarize, Ramesh, I think what you're saying is, a bunch of tasks, right? Like you're saying, it's mostly comes into research, enrichment, preservation, or breadth. Correct. All these 5 tasks can be, at least what we have seen and what we are seeing with some of our customers, that can be completely automated or replaced with AI.
Correct.
So what does it mean? So it means that the human role, I think specifically the SDR, AE roles have expanded. Absolutely. Both of them have to expand. So what will result, at least what we have seen, at least that's what actually played in our favor. What we have seen is that I think there's no specialization further. There is no one person doing one.
There is no specialization.
But absolutely. What it became is it became more full stack.
Yep.
Right. So why don't you double down and say what is your definition of a full stack salesperson?
I think that the amount of back and forth you reduce with the teams, internal teams.
Okay.
I think it's just that's the sales specialization that AI is able to bring in within salespeople. You don't need one person to research, another marketer to send an email, the third demo person to come in, the fourth SDR trying to fix another meeting, and the fifth AE to come and sell. Okay. Contracts a large amount. And that is the sales specialization.
That's a whole. I mean, so just to recap the lesson 2, I think for what you heard from Ramesh is that the specialization in sales actually slowed down the team. What really got us out of it, basically having the teams move into full stack sales roles.
Yep.
Definitely because of AI.
Only because of AI.
Now comes the next one, Ramesh, right? Now that you said about AI, right? So are you saying that AI is replacing jobs?
This is a debated one, right? We've ever debated this. I don't think AI replaces the jobs. It clearly kind of exposes weaker workflows. Okay. The moment you have manual workflows,
okay,
leads are not flowing on a Saturday or a Sunday. It's not getting enriched real time. These are poor, weak workflows. And if you still have that in your system, it's time to relook at them, because AI definitely helps in cutting short the lead time to contact.
Okay.
Right. And it just makes better processes easy in a company.
Okay. So what you're saying, Ramesh, I think very interesting part, right? What you're saying, it's not like the task are disappearing, right? Somebody has a lead. I think you have to research about the lead, a company, understand what's been their interest. Are they, for example, if they're hiring somebody of interest for you, the different ways you can find people and all that. The tasks are actually temporary, right? Expectation is going up from a seller point of view.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
What you're saying is that I don't want somebody who just want to only set meetings, but I'm going to look at somebody when he or she's been enabled for setting a meeting, if they could basically go through the whole grind.
Correct.
Now, the question is, let's give some examples, Ramesh, right? So the example is that I think research is basically a table stake today.
Yeah, it's an easy one.
I think AI could do it for you, right? follow-ups are expected instantly, meaning it's not like, hey, I take a day, 24 hours, cycles of 1 hour away, right? They expect it to be done right away. Yeah. So the personalization is no longer, it is only for impressing. It's not like that. It is basically assumed that any email I get, any message I get, any phone call I get has some context and is also relevant.
I think that's a very important piece in terms of personal. The personalization immediately triggers a time-taking monolith that, hey, you can't do it for every lead. But I think thanks to AI, we are able to personalize at scale. Personalization just doesn't mean holding up a board with your name. It actually it goes beyond having the first name and the last name and bringing the context very, very easily. And that is way better personalization today. And that can be done at scale thanks to AI. So that's the reason why we say that AI hasn't cut jobs. It's just made it better. The workflows have been much better over there.
Okay. So which means what you're saying is that I think the adoption of the AI is absolutely, and they can say even they will say literally, as a result, it does basically, the outcome is basically, at least from what we have seen, is full stack sellers, right? Which is a great thing. Now, what's next?
We keep saying this again and again. It's not gone out of fashion, literally, but distribution plays the trump card, right? It beats the product again and again and again. You talk about it in just not in terms of branding, but just in the terms of having be able to put the word out to a larger number of people. It doesn't mean that the product only if you have the best quality product. And there's no definition of best quality in this new age.
Right.
So I think that, as uncomfortable as it may look for builders, for product managers to say, hey, let me get the best product out, there is no best product until it's distributed well, right? A poor product can still be the best product if distributed well.
But I think, Ramesh, if you just take a step back and look at it, right? I think with the AI, I understand what you're saying and I agree with what you're saying, but what has AI done to it, right? This is like, we've been talking about it for like almost a year and a half that a distribution always trumps the product. Doesn't matter whether you like it or not like it, that's the way it works. But how is it happening with AI, right? And AI hasn't changed it much, but what it has done is it has just shown a short-term window. You get to basically be able to get to the product market fit.
Absolutely.
That's the way I look at it, right?
Oh, very true.
With AI, I think using AI, your customers can do self-serve. They come and you put a chat. You can get to the stage they could use the product quickly. That's the way I look at it, right? That's the most important aspect of being a product person and trying to use AI. You have no dependency, or you have less dependency on making your product self-serve because AI can help them configure, etc.
Correct.
If you do it the right way. So, what is the key takeaway? I think why distribution is even more important today is that, hey, now you could identify people with the right signals, with the right intent signals, and you can run the campaigns effectively. So as a result, you get more traction. That is one.
Correct.
And we don't have to really look at volume right now. My intention is for me to get my 100 customers. I don't look at, let's say, I don't have to reach about 100,000 people. I just have to reach out to people with, let's say, a few hundred people with the clear indication. If you are single is high performer, you want to look for people who are hiring for SDR teams. Simple. It gets down to much smaller part of people. So distribution also is not such a huge thing like what it used to be in like the past.
Absolutely.
Right? Power to use AI. And the most important thing, Ramesh, I'm seeing with the way you are doing, I think distribution has changed, is that having to be able to spearfish. The relevance is very important.
I think this is very important to double down when you say relevance because, thanks to, of course, tools and all of that, our SDRs are today able to have a conversation with the hook.
Correct.
Forget the metrics of conversation rate, connect, and all of that. But why is meetings becoming more important, as said earlier, is if you are able to get that relevance right, you have a better conversation and that genuinely looks at, hey, can I get this? Because if you're moving the leads out of the way, I am thinking that's not important. What it boils down to, what does the SDR even speak to the customer or the prospect?
Okay.
That puts a smile on his face because they kind of understand, oh, wow, why are they calling me is because of a reason. And that just helps convert that into a better meeting. So you automatically go down the flag a little bit.
So maybe, but if it's very interesting, right? So now you're saying, if you want to just summarize, we're talking about very subtle, real-time lessons we have done, right? And I would want to just to quickly, summarize, right? Hey, more leads doesn't fix your inbound pipeline problem. So which means that it might sound, off the practice. Just because you outsource your lead generation doesn't mean anything. Correct? Doesn't even get you pipeline. I'm not saying you should not use any agency for that. Of course, go get it done. But what is important is that try to get good quality meetings. Right? As simple as that. Correct. Number two, right? You need to, I think we at least maybe have learned it. Moving away from specialized roles to the full stack sales has significantly helped us close better.
Oh yeah, absolutely has. Yes.
Number three, very, very important, right? Use AI. It is not used to kind of replace job. It is used to expose the weak workflow. Correct. Means that it will also replace multiple SaaS product you might be using. That's the most important part.
Yeah.
It is not going to replace the people, but it might replace your weak workflows.
It will.
Right?
Yeah.
And the weak workflows today is IPA with much of SaaS products. So that's what we are giving. Yes, right. The number four, which is the most important of all, is that distribution is again going to beat the product, right? But it is become more spear fishing than spray and pray.
Oh, absolutely. Right. I think there's also a point that with AI tools, with the calling tools available, today you're reaching out to 1,000 people. You're trying to reach out to 1,000 people over phone by a single SDR. So if you're able to send out the whole enriched conversation, emails with context, you're able to reach out to 1,000 people. We're able to reach out to LinkedIn, and all of this is being done by a single SDR. Okay, so if you have 10 SDRs, multiply that, and you should be able to reach 10,000 people, right? That's again the value of AI that helps in distribution in terms of reach. Okay. Relevance, of course, is built in to that.
Okay. I mean, Ramesh is a big fan of parallel dialers. I mean, we can do a separate part for this talk about.
Yeah, we should. Only absolutely sure.
But in general, Ramesh, if you look at it, right, I think just to summarize our learning, I think these are the 4 learnings. But the team that adopted fast, I think, is one of the things. It's not about having a big budget, but I would say the willingness to adopt AI.
Yeah.
And also question the status quo, which means that the old playbooks aren't the ones that's going to get you the new result.
Yeah, we've spoken quite a bit about
that is the mindset share that will change as well. It is not just about tools. It's not about adopting AI. I think people start asking questions, should I use AI or not? The question is, where do you use AI? If you want to ask us, okay, we'll say, go look at your existing workflows. Most of them are weakly connected. You could replace them out.
Totally.
Right? Yeah. That's the way I look at it, Ramesh. What do you think? What's your final?
Final wrap, I think, for us in particular, high performer, Sri Agai, it was a very good way to close the year. These learnings kind of put us back, in wearing our thinking caps and getting to, okay, what does momentum mean? These are the learnings that have really helped.
Yeah.
It's less about prediction. It's more about reflection. It's when I say that, not necessarily poetically, but what I really mean is, hey, how can you leverage these, leverage GTM much faster tools, or it could be people, rather than think of it as, going and predicting what my next 100 customers are going to look like. Right? So it was all about leverage that.
But let me ask you different. I mean, Ramesh, we're not a big fan of prediction.
Of course not. Yeah.
What if we do this way, right? What if we tell what we have in our mind for the next part?
Mm-hmm.
For 2026, if you were to pick up 3 or 4 things, you think you want to do, or you think which might happen, what would that be?
Again, I'll be repeating some of these things that we already spoke about. I think the first one, as we've always said, right? There's always this debate of whether it's a CRM is relevant or not, or whatever, right? Okay. CRMs are not going to go anywhere. They will remain there. They may be dysfunctional, but I think the intelligence on top of it is going to matter. That is going to help have better sales processes.
Okay.
Right. You will generate signals and see if that is available. I think that is what.
Okay. What you're saying is the CRM will exist, but the manual updates will disappear.
That will disappear.
That's what. As you immediately want it to be silver, the signals will basically orchestrate the CRMs. What you say?
Absolutely.
Send the other reminders.
Yeah.
Okay. Fair point. I think
the second one is about GTM teams. GTM teams may not have as many people as you need, or even if you have a productivity from that is just going to go through the roof. The large GTM teams across enterprises are required to double up their productivity in some sets. It could mean, let's say, a two-way conversation as a metric. It could mean leverage distribution in a sense. Okay, the output will grow. I think that's more important through better context, of course.
Okay, man. So what does it mean? Are you saying that the GTM change will shrink?
No, I said the larger I mean, it won't shrink. It depends on what you want. If you already have a GTM team, then you better expect double the productivity than you already have. Yeah. Okay, right? If you're reaching out to, 100,000 prospects this year with your existing team, can you make that 300,000 or 500,000 prospects?
But I that.
Or if you want the other way around, if you still want to reach out to 100,000 prospects, can you shield the team to do that? You probably need one third the existing teams.
I also think the way we look at it, that's been my learning, Ramesh, and I think that will continue. Is that I think we start asking what is your sales and marketing effective? Rather, I think you would start asking what is the leverage of your sales and
What's the leverage
to build a pipeline to convert customers. That's the change which will happen.
Yep.
I think what it means, you'll have fewer roles. I mean, you always be somebody who doesn't want to hire a lot of those in marketing and sales, but I think it still have that. But I think the output will probably even double.
Exactly. But that is definitely a possibility for that. It is definitely possible. Okay, right? So larger enterprises.
Next.
I think just the sales role is a really important piece, right? That will just move up in perception. It will move up market. It won't be about sales. When I say sales, I mean the entire full sales cycle. You have the ability to make these AEs and SDRs, all of them way more smarter today. And they will be able to earn a lot more money as described as a sales, because you are now heavy lifting. What was done by 2 or 3 roles, you're just doing it by 1, which means you're able to close more, close faster, close big as well. So that's a big area that I think will move faster.
I think on the product and engineering side, which is what I think will happen. I think the teams that will rebuild faster, or the teams that rebuild fastest, I think will be the one.
When you say rebuild, you mean moving aside the one that will build, or build on top of it as faster?
I think things are moving so fast that I think literally every company today, specifically SaaS company or be it, companies like
what's this stuff,
has to rebuild what they've done already. The one which will rebuild fast, it is not reset for all. I mean, there's no company which is growing which is not rebuilding. Correct. We spoke about few companies like Intercom, and all of them had a saturation, and we are seeing that with Akka as a board. They might be sitting with huge pile of cash and larger revenue, but couple of years from now, I think the one which basically, at least for sure for next year, the teams that would rebuild fastest, not the one which will adopt first. The adoption is all game of past. I think the one we will win in 2020.
I think why history is that we've been touched with, right? I'd give this to our entire product folks, and any customer, earlier it used to be that, hey, can you do this for us as well? And the answer would be, that's down the quarter. Yes, we're going to do that 6 months down the line. But I think that has shrunk to an existing piece to say, hey, we already have this piece, so I see no reason why we can't ship it in weeks. So I think that's where you're coming from. And we've done this to a few customers. That's how our product has grown in Station as well.
Because in 2026 will be the year for the startups. I think it is going to be very hard for the incumbent to build everything from scratch, because just for the existing architecture and engineering and everything else, there's product limitation, there is UI limitation, there is engineering under the hood architecture limitations, where incumbents is very, very hard for them to relook at it. Of course, they're going to bring in AI on top of it for the sake of doing it, but it's going to be the year for start.
So that's going beyond the white coding.
Yeah,
right. So that's all right. On that note, so if these lessons, do hit a note somewhere, please let us know and put in your comments. We talked about a lot of things from our earlier episodes: the frozen bill sales, full sales stack. We talked about marketing. Just to say they're all connected. Makes sense, right? Okay. And we'll be back next year. Happy vacation. Enjoy your time. Reflect upon all the great stuff that you've done. And see you until then.
Yep. And then in the meantime, I think if you have any lessons which hit you close, I think let us know. Or if you had any lessons, just send us a note, or to the comment on the post, etc. But until next year, Happy New Year, and happy looking forward.
Yeah, Happy New Year. A great 2026 ahead. Happy holidays. See you. Bye.
Thank you.